Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Debunking Fitness by Kay. I am Kay. I'm your host. My name is Kirsten, and I am talking about all things health and fitness. I teach you about health and fitness principles. And then we also talk about myths. That's my biggest thing. We're talking about myths on this podcast, why they may not be true, and where the truth lies within them, and what is actually true in regards to that myth. Without further ado, today, the episode is going to be a little bit selfish. It's all about me and my health journey. That's what I want to talk about. Um, I feel like this is episode 11, so I've been on here for a hot second, kind of creating some episodes. But now I really want to get into the nitty gritty and be like, okay, who am I? Why am I here? How did I get here? Why am I doing what I'm doing? What's my story? For all those people who are like, who is this girl? Let's learn about me. Okay. First of all, thank you for being here. In my podcast, I really love to start it out with talking about something health and fitness related, nutrition, fitness, all sorts of everything in between. And then I always end it with a ghost story because that's one of my favorite things. And I would be mad at myself if I didn't also include two things that I love into one podcast that I really want to talk about. So I did both. um, because it just makes me happy. So we're getting cozy over here. I'm just sitting on the floor in front of my couch, but I got my little microphone. I got my cozy jacket and cozy pants. Yeah. Anyway, so here we are. So my health journey kind of begins, I want to say whenever I was like 12. Long time ago. My mom was a really big influence for me in a lot of the things that I do today. And if I told her that, she would be, and I think I have told her that before, but she'll be like, what? No, that's crazy. Why would I be that person? Like, I don't know. What did I do? Very humble lady, but she she influenced me a ton on what I do today and why I do the things I do today. And it kind of all started with I was 12, just hitting puberty, and I was a growing human being. Did not really have didn't really develop like breasts yet, And I looked at my body and I was like, my stomach is poking out and I don't think I really like that. And I want to create my body how I want it to look. And so I asked my mom, I was like, can I do anything about this? And she was like, you could try working out. Maybe that'll help. And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah. What kind of workout should I do? And she was like, you could try core exercises. And I was like, okay, yeah. Okay. Like, let's try this. Um, and I think the biggest reason why I was so insecure was because I didn't have any breasts yet. And so um, I was just like a flat kid. And whenever you eat food, your belly gets a little bit full. Truthfully, I was not like overweight. I was in shape. I was a kid. Like I ran around, I played around. I was a very active kid, doing a bunch of stuff. There was no reason for me to feel like that, but I was like, I feel like this and I'm going to do this. And so I started, um, she had like a book full of exercises. And so I started doing some of those and I want to say like they were like from the 70s. They were like calisthenics meets dancing kind of exercises. They're very, very interesting, but they worked. So it was all about like pointing your toes, long legs, straight knees, but doing everything like with your body with no weights. So calisthenics meets dancing. And I remember, so I'm 27 years old, and I remember back in the day, whenever I was 12, which is not that long ago, I know, but they had like all of these teen magazines. I forget some of the names of them, but sometimes in those teen magazines, you would have like little exercises in there, because this was before the internet got super popular in health and fitness the way that it is now. And you couldn't really just like Google all this stuff. It was kind of hard to find, but now it's so easy to find. Anyway, so I was looking at some of my siblings' magazines and I found like cutouts or like different pages that I ripped out and cut out and like put on the wall and started doing some exercises from magazines. And that was kind of like my first exposure as like a 12-year-old. And so that kind of started like trying to get into sports. Never got onto a sports team. I tried and I only got onto the teams that you didn't have to like try out for. You could just do it. And they were like, yeah, we accept everybody. Like I wasn't a talented athletic kid. I wasn't like bored to play basketball or whatever. Like I just had a passion for it and wanted to do it. And I wasn't very athletically gifted, but I wanted to do it. I wanted to get into it because I loved kind of like the feeling that it gave me to do exercise and to push my body. It was like a sweet burn, and it was cool as a 12-year-old to be like, whoa, like I didn't know my body could feel like this. Like this is great because you don't really have a lot of life experience at that point. And so if that's like one of the first things you experience, you're like, wow, this is cool. Yeah. And that just kind of like stuck with me. Um, and then I want to say around the same age, up until I was 17, so about like 5 to 6 years, I decided to be a vegetarian, slash vegan. I kind of went in and out of the phases. And it truthfully was not, anything to do with animals. Looking back on it, I think it was more like a, can my body do this? Can I do this? I want to do it. Seems fun, seems different, seems trendy. Let's do it. Um, and I think truthfully, that's all it was. I think at that age, I was like, I'm doing it for this, and I'm doing it for this, and I really love animals. I'm gonna do it for this. No, I think it was just trendy, and I think that's why I did it, truthfully. Um, and so and so I was a vegetarian and vegan for about 6 years. Um, and that taught me a ton about nutrition, because I did not do it in a good way. I will be very honest. I didn't know anything about nutrition. I didn't know anything about vitamins, minerals, what I should be getting. I'm a growing human being. Like I didn't, I didn't pay attention to any of that. I just thought, no meat. I can do that. And then it turned into no meat, no dairy. Yeah, I can do that. And then that kind of just like went in and out, even though I don't think I was very good at not having dairy. A lot of processed foods have dairy in it. And I don't think I really like looked at that. Anyway, the vegan one was a very small window, mostly vegetarian. Anyway, and there came a point during that whole process where I became very like malnourished, I believe. Um, and I like tried to do exercise. I tried to go on like a run one day, and I like made it a quarter mile from the house, and I couldn't walk after that. I couldn't walk back to the house. I had to call my mom. I was really scared, and I was like, you need to come pick me up. I can't move. I'm gonna sit right here. I feel like I'm gonna die. I can't move. And I kind of came to the conclusion that I was like, I'm protein deficient. I'm iron deficient. I am not getting enough nutrients to support going on a run. And so that kind of was a pinnacle moment for me to kind of change my diet and be like, maybe I should just start eating meat again. So it kind of turned into like, okay, I need to get more protein in my diet. Maybe I'll just start with like pescatarian, having just like fish and eggs. I'll start with that and then not have all the other ones. And then that kind of slowly transitioned to like, why am I even doing this? What's the reason? And then I stopped. But it took that one scary moment for me to feel a lot of like like bodily failure, and it scared me a lot. And that kind of was like I feel like another like pinnacle turning point moment for me to be like, I want to learn about the human body more. I kind of want to know about this. Like I can't be the only one experiencing this. I want to learn more so that I can help people in their bodies and help them understand their bodies. And also, the human body is just so freaking fascinating. It started with the brain. I wanted to learn more about the brain, and then it kind of slowly transitioned to just like the whole body. But I was like, the brain is why people do certain things. The brain is the center house of the body. That's why we are the way we are. And I want to learn about like why people are the way they are. And my brain went to neurology, but then got to college, and I was like, neurology is way too hard. I don't want to go to medical school. Screw this. So I changed my course. But anyway, so it took that vegetarian phase for me to realize that food is really important and nutrition is really important. Um, and so I kind of ran with that. And then that was about whenever I was 17. So I was just about to go to college. And so whenever I got to college, I started studying neuroscience. And then I was like, too tough, ain't for me. Still want to go to medical school or still want to be in the medical field, but don't really want to go to medical school. And then I got introduced by a counselor to the world of athletic training, which I was fairly familiar with. Whenever I was doing all of these sports. I did track and field in high school. Like I said, it was a team that you didn't have to like be good at. You didn't have to try out for it. You could just do it. And so I got injured every single year for like 8 years. I had shin splints chronically. I didn't have good shoes. We were not a very rich family growing up. So like I just kind of had what I had, Walmart sneakers, like is what it is. and 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 so I always had injuries. And so I knew the athletic trainer very well because every time I got injured, I would tell my coach, and my coach was like, "You should go see the athletic trainer." And I was like, "Okay." Her name is Marla. She was very nice. Um, but Marla didn't make me feel like I wanted to do athletic training. Marla just introduced me to the world of that. And then whenever I was in college, I was like, "Oh, yeah, I remember Marla. Okay, that's cool. I don't mind doing that." And so I kind of changed the course of college and started to study athletic training, which was exercise science with an emphasis in athletic training. So that I went through the accreditation program. But truthfully, my bachelor's degree is in exercise science. Anyway, and so did all of that, got certified, and I still do that today. So I still practice athletic training to this day. I have a soccer tournament I'm working this weekend. I worked a soccer tournament last weekend. Anyway, and so that kind of was the timeline between all that. But during like high school and even in college, my fitness kind of catered to stress management. So I used fitness to manage my stress. I was a very ambitious student. I took all AP classes. I was valedictorian. I worked my butt off in school to be the best because I wanted to be the best. and and I could, and that's where I kind of got like my smarts. I'm not athletically gifted, but I am intellectually gifted. I know my stuff. And so I put a lot of workload onto myself. I also did band, I did music, I did color guard, a little bit of dancing with flag work, which is kind of sporty. I was pretty good at that because I did it for a couple years. And that's the only reason why I was good. If I just joined it, I wouldn't be good. Anyway, and so I had a lot on my plate as a high schooler, and I joined my local gym. It was the YMCA, um, and I just worked out at the gym. I went there after school or in my breaks to help me just kind of manage my stress, keep me active. Because that was kind of like my brain leveling out. That was like that's kind of where I went whenever I needed to like reset my mentality almost. It was very therapeutic for me to go to the gym. I did a lot of weightlifting. There were some boys that I dated in high school that kind of taught me a little bit more about weightlifting because they learned it from their sports teams, whatever they were, football, basketball, soccer, whatever. So they taught me a lot of stuff when it came to weightlifting because I didn't know a lot about weightlifting. Never had I was never on a sports team where they like taught you how to weightlift. I learned everything about weightlifting on my own, and as most people do, I think. And anyway, and so that kind of transitioned into college where I got really stressed out in college at my first semester because it's totally different than anything else you've ever done in your life. And so you get to college and you're like, oh my gosh, I have so much homework. I have so much to do. I have to read these textbooks. I have so much to do. I'm taking all these credits. Like I need to do homework. And then my mental health started slowly declining because I decided to put all that time into um, doing schoolwork, which is important, but I kind of lacked my personal health and personal happiness. And so I created a pretty rough imbalance. And I had a conversation once with my mom where she was like, you need to start working out again. It does a lot for your mental health. It makes you feel so much better. You've done this your whole life, like, you need to start going to the gym, and I know you don't want to because you have so much on your plate and you have so much stuff that you need to do, but it'll help you get those things done because your brain will feel so much more capable of doing things because you've managed your stress through working out." And I was like, "That's a really good point. Okay." And then I started working out, again, because I took a little break during my first semester. I started working out again. And I was like, okay, yep, you're right. This is stress management. Yep, yep, totally right. um, and then made it through college, finished it out, finished in exercise science. Great, smooth sailing, awesome. College was great. Um, and then after college, there I was, part of a pretty rough relationship, that took a lot of my mental health out of me, and after that relationship ended, I felt pretty broken and didn't know who I was, didn't know what I wanted to do, didn't know me, and that is where fitness kinda took a pretty big role in my life again. I feel like fitness is always just kinda, like, on the back burner. It's always been, like, just kinda, like, on the side, like, it's a good stress relief kinda thing, but it was like, you just do it to do it and to stay in shape. That's what I wanna do. I wanna stay in shape. I wanna stay on top of my things, because that's what makes me feel good. It makes me feel happy. I've always kinda stayed on top of it because it was just like, makes me feel good. That was kind of it, and so after that breakup, that's where fitness kinda did a lot of, mental healing for me. I got really into yoga. It was very, it was a very good, like, um, peaceful meditative experience, I would say, and I'm still very into yoga, just not as much as before because I haven't found a really good studio. Um and so yoga time, it kinda took that role, and then from yoga, kind of transitioned into all of the other activities that I do now: rock climbing, snowboarding, surfing, backpacking, hiking, paddleboarding, um, just I feel like I did boxing a lot during that time too. I don't really do it much anymore, but I have boxing gloves that I practice with. Anyway, and so it started out after a breakup, kind of healing my mental health and finding who I was and who I wanted to be and what I enjoyed. And that was as like a 23-year-old, I would say, way after college. So I'm a 23-year-old and I'm like, who the heck am I? And that is where fitness helped guide me into who I was and what I enjoyed, and what I wanted to do because I didn't really have any hobbies. And then that kind of helped me find hobbies. And it all kind of started with like an overcoming type mentality where I was like, I can do this. I can do tough things. I can try new things. I want to try new things. I want to experience. I want to like live life. And I feel like I haven't been living my life at all up until this point. And I just want to experience and trying all those new things. I'm like, love this. I love this. I love this. I love this. I love all of these things. And that's kind of where I sit now as like I use my health and fitness to help me with my extreme activities that I really like to do, like rock climbing and snowboarding and backpacking and all the things that most people don't do. I find a lot of joy in. Anyway, and so that's kind of where my, health and fitness journey, or really just like my fitness journey, is kind of led to, and that's kind of what I introduce in my coaching, is I kind of take my exercise science knowledge and my love for extreme sports and put the 2 together, to help people who want to do extreme sports, and, manage their injuries through them because there are injuries that happen whenever it comes to that. And even just normal people who just want to go to the gym and that's all they want to do because I've been there. I've experienced that. That's all I wanted to do for a while. Um, help manage their injuries so that they can continue to do all those things, even through injury, so that they can find that normalcy, find that stress management like I did. And then, my nutrition kind of came into play, with, a lot of gut issues that I've experienced throughout my life. So I, started dating a guy who I'm still with today. He is amazing. Love my life. And he has celiac disease. And so whenever we first started dating, he was like, "Can't have gluten. I'm gluten free." And I was like, "Interesting. I've been avoiding gluten unknowingly for a couple years now. Maybe I should try going gluten free with you because it'll make living with you easier because you can have gluten, which means it's unfair. It's not unfair, but like it just makes me having gluten feel a little bit harder to do because you can't have it and I like sharing food. And so I started to go gluten free to kind of help out with a lot of gut issues because I was unknowingly gluten free and avoiding gluten because I knew it gave me gut issues for a while. I think since I was like 14. Bread always gave me issues, pasta always gave me issues. And so I just kind of like stopped eating them, stopped buying them because I was like, well, they make me feel sick. So I'm just going to stop eating them because why do I want to feel sick? Um, so stopped eating gluten first and I was like, "Ooh, wow, my gut issues are so much better. Wow, this is weird. Interesting. Maybe I have like a gluten intolerance." Like that's crazy. But works out. And then that kind of led to I still had dairy in my diet and then I kind of led to like still feeling like the same issues coming up a little bit later and lactose intolerance runs in my family too. And so I was like, maybe I should try not eating dairy and see what happens, and I stopped eating dairy, and I was like, "Wow, feel so much better." Um, and now that I know more about nutrition, I'm able to still have a very balanced diet and get all of the vitamins and nutrients and minerals that I need from not having those food groups. Because my gut health is so much better if I don't have them. And my mindset is so much better, and my mental health is so much better because whenever your body feels like garbage, okay, you feel like garbage. I don't know if you've ever been sick before, but whenever you are sick and your body feels like the worst thing in the world, okay, then your mental health is like, I can't do anything. I'm so weak. I'm so bad. I'm so blah, 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 blah. That happens. Okay. Whenever you're sick, you don't feel good. And that's how I felt pretty much all the time. And I was like, I don't want to feel like this. I feel like I don't feel confident. I don't feel happy in my skin. I don't feel good at all. And so now that kind of brings me today with my nutrition coaching because I don't want people to feel the same way that I felt. And I want people to feel empowered in their own skin. And I just have a whole lot of compassion for my own journey because I've been through, I wouldn't say I've been through like a lot of crazy stuff, but I've been through some stuff that taught me a lot of lessons. And so I kind of take that compassion and understanding of knowing like the mental health side of working out and how those two kind of go together and then the nutrition side of living a healthy life and understanding that it's okay to it's okay not to feel good in your body, but it's even better to feel good in your body, and it's okay to want to feel good in your body. You don't have to abide by society standards to live your life if it makes you feel like garbage, like you can tailor your life to what fits for you. And honestly, in America, the American diet is absolute garbage. And most of that food is designed to make you feel like garbage. If you look at the ingredients list, it's all garbage. So like, of course you don't feel good eating it. So that's why I really push for eating whole foods and eating foods that you know what the ingredients are and doing a lot of cooking yourself. I do almost all of my cooking myself. I try to stay away from a lot of processed foods because like they just make me feel like garbage and I don't feel like I deserve to feel like garbage in my day-to-day life. Anyway, so that's kind of like my whole story, of where I was, why I do the things I do, and where I am today. And the bottom line is now that I've like taken all of that experience, I am kind of putting back into the community and my little corner of the world and whoever wants to be in it. I'm teaching those lessons and teaching those principles back to people who may not know these things because once upon a time I didn't know these things and I wish someone would have told me and I wish that I had a little bit of like a guide to be like, hi, let's talk about this issue. Let's talk about why maybe it's not working for you and what will work for you because I know you want these things and I know you want these goals and I know you want to lose weight and I know you want to gain muscle and I know you have a path that you want to take and you can take it. It's just a little bit hard to decipher in the world of so much information what's right. And I just posted on Instagram today basically about how truthfully you have all the tools that you need to be successful in your health and fitness journey. Truthfully, you do. Having a coach there to just like take away some of the brain power for you, that's kind of what a coach there is there for. To motivate you, to guide you, to give you the direction, take out the brain power and make it so that hitting your goals, doing all these things is effortless and easy for you. That is what a coach is for, and that's what I do. And I do that for women specifically. So if you want to know more about my coaching, go to my website, www.performancebyk, or follow me on Instagram at performancebyk. I'm Kay. Hi. I've already said that, but hello again. But I kind of take that guesswork out of people's journeys because they deserve to get there. And truthfully, what I was saying is you have all the keys, you have the tools, you know what to do. Okay, you know what to do. It's just a matter of doing it. And it's just a matter of knowing why you want to do it. Because there are some people who are like, yeah, I could lose weight if I wanted to, but I don't really want to. I don't really care to. I don't really want to. And there are some people who are like, yeah, I would like to lose weight, but I got this and this and this and this and this and this and this, and this is in the way, and I don't really know, and I don't really feel motivated, but I know what to do. I know I got to do it. I just like, I don't think I'm ready to do it yet. I don't know. And then they keep seeing that for years and years and years, and then their problem just gets worse and worse and worse. And that's what a coach is there for. That is what a coach is there for, to take out that that guesswork, to help motivate you and be like, okay, well, like, why do you even want to lose weight in the first place? Why do you feel like you want to do this? You feel like you want to be a better parent for your kids? How are you going to be a better parent if you are going down this path and a year from now you haven't made a change and your health is declining, your mobility is getting worse, you're gaining weight, you're doing all of this stuff? You're in worse shape a year from now than right now if you keep doing what you're doing, like, and you're not going to be a better parent for your kids if that means chasing around your kids, having the energy to keep up with them, to do things with them, to spend time with them. So let's make a change because we want to be a better parent, because this is the only life we have, and this is your only shot to play around with your 6-year-old, because eventually there'll be a 7-year-old, and eventually there'll be a 14-year-old, and eventually there'll be a 22-year-old and out of your house, and then boom, you lost your opportunity. Let that sink in. But anyway, thank you for listening to my story. I like my story because it's mine. How can I not? So the last thing that I want to do, I kind of mentioned this in the beginning, is I love telling ghost stories too. They are one of my favorite things. And not in the world, but they're one of my favorite things. And so I got a story here for you. That is, let's see, can I give this a name? Let's see. I just want to say it's the haunting of Paul's house. The haunting of Paul's house. We started watching Haunting of Hill House, and it's amazing. Love that show. So good. If you haven't watched it, watch it and pay attention to the background, because there's ghosts in the background and people sitting in the background almost every scene. It's really cool. But it's not enough to like be like, huh, wait, huh? You wouldn't notice it if you didn't know to look for it. Anyway, so this is the haunting of Paul's house. And let's dive in. So one of my closest friends growing up lived in a house that was beyond a reasonable doubt haunted. The house was definitely somewhere around a century old, or at least now it is, and our town was situated in a very woodsy suburb. He and every member of his family had experiences there. Several of our friends had their own experiences there, and I had mine too. Honestly, it would be impossible to try and condense it down into one experience. And I believe it's worth sharing the accounts I can remember. I'll start with the least scary one, which was thankfully my own, and then move to the ones worth telling. During high school, my parents went on vacation, and for a few days, I stayed at this particular house of my friend. Let's call him Paul. I stayed in Paul's room in a sleeping bag on the floor while he slept in his bed. One morning, I woke up to someone whispering in my ear, like directly in my ear, my name, you need to leave now. Let's call him Jackson. Jackson, you need to leave now. It did not say this super maliciously, almost more of a warning. It definitely woke me up though, and immediately I'm thinking Paul was just messing around with me as he frequently did. But I turned around to my right where he was sleeping and realized that he was completely out. I said, "What?" to him, thinking he was joking around, and he didn't wake up. He was definitely asleep. It was quiet and still too early for even Paul's parents to be up. And then it hit me, as it still hits me today. I heard the whisper in my left ear, and Paul was on my right side. Paul had other experiences in that same room, a few I can remember off the top of my head. For a time, he told me that he suffered from sleep paralysis on a very consistent basis. He would see demons in his room and would be unable to move. And he told me that very frequently in his sleep, the standing fan by his bed would be a demon girl, and he would wake up with a jolt of adrenaline, having punched or thrown the fan down to the ground. He told me he would sometimes see someone standing in the closet his bed faced, both asleep and awake. Oddly enough, his sleep paralysis significantly decreased as soon as he moved out of that place. That floor, the second floor where Paul, his parents, and two of his four sisters slept, was spooky. I remember getting weird feelings up there. One of his sisters claimed to see a ghost of a little boy in their bathroom. His mom once opened the closet in her bedroom to find the same little boy standing in there, looking up at her and asking for his mom. I heard about that one when I was in the middle school, and it always creeped me out. It was always scarier when the adults see them too. Before my own experience, I generally thought Paul was trying to mess with me when he would tell me about these experiences. Most of our most of our other friends were the same way, thinking Paul was full of crap, even after my own experience. At times I thought I just as easily could have dreamt it up. But then a few of those same friends, some of them complete non-believers beforehand, had their own experiences, and that changed my whole idea of the house. Once a year, Paul and his family would take a trip and have someone take care of their two dogs. One of our mutual friends came over uh, to do to do just that one day. When she got there that evening to feed the dogs, the house was dark and empty. For some context, the dogs were being fed near the kitchen, and adjacent to the kitchen was a dining room, which led further away into the entryway, and after that, a small living room. Well, not long after feeding the dogs, she heard a blood-curdling scream, a shriek coming from that living room, like someone was inside with her. She booked it outside with the dogs, checked for intruders, and saw no one was there. I'm pretty sure after that she called Paul, told him what happened, and he laughed and said, "Yeah, that happens sometimes." A couple years later, one of the bigger doubters in our group, who thought all of us were full of crap, had his own experience. Paul hosted a fair amount of parties back then, and usually we would use his basement to avoid any sort of noise complaints. So all of us are in the basement having a good time, and this particular friend of ours decides to run up and grab another drink from upstairs. Mind you, this friend is not the kind of guy to get completely wasted. Like he'll only have ever have a beer or two at most. So for all intents and purposes, he's sober. He goes up, and the ground floor was completely empty as everyone's in the basement. There's a porch directly outside the dining room, entryway, living room area, and it extended a long ways across the back of the house. As our friend was walking into the dining room to grab a beer off the table, he sees a grim looking woman standing on the porch outside, looking through the window directly at him. He knows something is wrong because she's sort of featureless and also standing outside by herself, looking inside. He takes his eyes off of her for one moment, looks back, and she's gone. A few days later, he tells Paul what happened, and Paul tells him how he and his siblings have seen that same woman before. Our friend becomes a believer. The basement was creepy as well, but I can only think of one thing that ever happened to me down there. It was more of a storage cellar than anything. We still use it for parties and generally hanging out, but it was so cluttered with random crap that whole areas of the room were completely cut off. At some point in college, one summer, whenever I was back home, Paul and his family were doing some annual throwing old stuff away fest, and he openly invited some friends to help. I came one day, and when I got there, Paul's dad nonchalantly told me, "You get to see the secret room." Turns out in the far corner of the basement, behind a bunch of clutter, was a strange closet nobody, besides maybe Paul's parents, knew about. We investigated it that day, and in it we found a bunch of random old crap. I can't remember anything exactly. I don't even know if Paul's family knew what this stuff was, but among it, I specifically remember finding this very old-fashioned vintage music box. Like the one in The Conjuring with the dancing ballerina, that kind of thing. We decided it was creepy and didn't want anything to do with it and left it in the closet. Well, on a different day, when I thankfully was not there, Paul and another friend were cleaning out the basement when suddenly that same music box started playing by itself. from behind the door of the closet. They were alone and had not been in that closet all day, and they bolted up the stairs. At the top of the house, there were two small bedrooms, both belonging to Paul's older sisters. This is the last one I'll share, and it's the story that stuck with me the longest. The second oldest sister once had a vivid and intense dream, in which she herself was being exorcised. A demon was forced out of her as a group of priests standing over her convulsing body, shouting verses at her, and she remembered it just being crazy intense. After enduring this for some time, she suddenly jolts herself awake and yells. And at that precise moment, a rosary she kept hanging on her wall flies from its place, crashes to the floor, and shatters into a bunch of pieces, completely on its own. She was covered in sweat and completely terrified. No one else was in the room. Yeah, that place was haunted. Ooh, one of these comments says, yeah, that house was haunted. Maybe you should go dig up in the basement and look for dead bodies under there. That's crazy. It says the original. No, they got rid of their name. Okay. That's crazy. Okay. Sorry, I was reading to see if there were any more comments on it. Yeah, the house is definitely haunted by multiple spirits, it sounds like, which is interesting. I feel like seeing like an old vintage looking lady standing outside of your house, just kind of like looking in. I feel like that would creep me out like a lot. I feel like I would not jive with that. Man, that's creepy. All right. Well, I hope you were spooked by that story. And I hope that you learned something from my story, sympathize with me, or feel empowered by it. Again, my name's Kirsten. I'm an online fitness coach and nutrition coach, and I help people navigate their own health and fitness journeys and help them finally hit their goals and create success within their lives. If you're interested in my coaching or want to learn more about it, it's completely free for us to just chat and talk. So if you want to learn anything about it, just ask. We can absolutely chat. Just go to my Instagram at Performance by K, or go to my website, www.performancebyk.com, and we will absolutely chat. I am so grateful that you guys listened to this. If you've made it this far, thank you. It's a pleasure. I'm like, when creating a podcast, you don't know if it'll go anywhere. So like, I'm kind of just sitting here like, hello to my audience of 0 people. Welcome. And there's a popular podcast that I listen to called Two Girls, One Ghost. And they also felt the same way where they were like, this is not going to go anywhere. And their beginning episodes were like, not very good. They didn't think anyone was going to listen to them. And now like thousands of people listen to them. So sometimes I think about that where I'm like, no one's listening to this. And then 1,000 people 2 years from now or whatever are going to be like, yeah, we listened to the first episodes. I'll be like, did you now? Because I anticipate this getting better. Anyway, hope you guys have a good one. And thanks for listening. And I'll catch you next time. Bye.